Hello, fourth grade. This is our Studies Weekly, Week 15 review. This is what the magazine should look like. Again, it is Week 15, Rancho Life. Again, below that is the website for Studies Weekly. Remember, you can go on to Studies Weekly and view the videos. You can also answer the questions, and you can play with the Rev Rat when you earn coins. This is the page that we're talking about. You see that it is 82 and 83. It was assigned on March 27th, and then we reviewed it today, which was Tuesday, March 31st. Question 1. How did the ranchos make money? Well, there were several ways that the ranchos made money, but the biggest one was cattle. Raising cattle was big business on the ranchos, and most large rancho owners grew rich by selling cowhide and tallow. Remember, tallow was the fat from the cows, and they used that to make soap, and they used it to make candles. Question 2. What notable family received a land grant in exchange for service in the Spanish Army? A. The Morales family. B. The Jimenez family. C. The Peralta family. Or D. The Zapata family. And that was C. The Peralta family. That was the first page. That was the main article. Question 3. Cows raised on the ranchos were used for beef for food, hides for leather products, fats for soaps and candles, or D, all of the above. And the answer to that one is D, all of the above. Question 4. What role did American Indians play in the ranchos? A. The American Indians owned most of the ranchos in California. B. Some American Indians were captured and forced to work at the ranchos for no pay. C. The American Indians did the most expensive job at the rancho and were paid handsomely, again, or paid well. D. Some American Indians were hired to manage other workers at the rancho. And the answer there is B. They were captured and forced to work at the ranchos. Question 5. Who was the inspiration for the fictional character Zorro? And if you opened it up on the inside of your magazine, there was an article that was called Zorro, like the legend of Zorro, Zorro Factor Fiction. So this is where this answer came from. Luis Peralta, Joaquin Murrieta, Mariano Guadalupe Vallejo, or Miguel Hidalgo. Now, several of these names should sound familiar to you from last week. And the answer is Joaquin Murrieta. Luis Peralta was the gentleman that we were talking about at the beginning. He's a rancho owner. Mariano Guadalupe Vallejo is the general, remember? And then Miguel Hidalgo was the one who was credited with starting the revolution in Mexico. Remember, his cry was, Mexico for Mexicans against the Spanish. Question 6. How did the ranchos get the goods that they needed at the rancho? Most ranchos raised everything they needed and were able to get it from the California land that they owned. Many ranchos were located on valuable mines where they were able to extract gold and other minerals. Ranchos traded cowhides and tallow for the goods they needed. Or D, the Californios, who owned the ranchos, were very wealthy and could buy any goods they needed with their money. And that was C, the ranchos traded the cowhides and the tallow for the goods they needed. Because what they had a lot of was cows. What they didn't have a lot of was almost everything else. Question 7. Some of the vaqueros were Spanish, but of what other groups were also sometimes vaqueros? American Indians, African slaves, Spanish and Mexican settlers, or all of the above? And this answer is all of the above. Question 8. What were the jobs of the patrona of the rancho? Now remember, a patrona most often was the owner's wife. And this is page 3, the article toward the bottom. It says, what is a patrona? And again, a patrona is the wife of a patron. And a patron is the owner of a large rancho. And please forgive my Spanish pronunciation. So what was the job of a patrona? Farming, ranching, and metalwork, cooking, weaving, sewing, and education, entertaining, farming, and education, or converting American Indians to the Catholic Church and the European way of life. And in this case, it was cooking, weaving, sewing, and education. For D, remember, that was the missionaries that wanted to convert the American Indians to the Catholic Church and the European way of life. A patrona probably was not European. Question 9, which crop was not raised at the ranchos? Now, this is a tricky one. Oranges and lemons, peaches and apricots, pomegranates and almonds, or apples and blueberries. So you kind of had to go through on this one and check off, oh yes, they did grow this, they did grow this. And this one is a tricky one because it says what they didn't grow. And in this case, it was apples and blueberries, D. They did not have apple trees. And last question, question 10. Other than raising cattle, what events took place on the rancho? And again, you had a couple of these areas where you said, so you want to be a vaquero, kind of talked about it a little bit. That Rancho Life talked about the different things that they did at the rancho. The beginning article discussed some of the things that the Peralta family did. So there's different places you kind of had to look for this one. Okay. Several suggestions. Again, it does not have to be exactly like this, but it could be. You could have mentioned several of these things. Okay. They did horse racing, cattle roundups, and rodeos, and then that brought visitors from near and far. The ranchos also were always alive with music and fandangos, which again were Spanish dances, as part of that celebration of those rodeos, those roundups. And at the Peralta Rancho, bullfighting was a popular pastime. Again, it was very popular in Mexico, and they wanted to continue this tradition. And usually, bullfighting was held on Sundays and on holidays, and people would come from miles around to watch. Now, remember, this tradition ended when California becomes part of the United States. Bullfighting is going to be outlawed when California becomes part of the United States. And that's what we're going to be continuing on with and looking at for next week. We're ending the mission system next week, which is week 16, and then we're going to move forward from that with this idea of California becoming part of the United States. So, hope you got all those answers, ladies and gentlemen. Nice work today, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.